What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, November 9th, 2023, and I have an emergency alert to share with you guys. Right now, it is 5:02 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and I wanted to give you the latest information that I have on the situation in the Middle East. So, the Yemen Armed Forces is officially confirming that they launched a batch of ballistic missiles at Israel earlier today. So the Yemen Armed Forces spokesman, Brigadier General Yahya Saree, said, "We fired a batch of ballistic missiles at various sensitive targets of the enemy Israeli entity in the southern territories, including military targets in Eilat." All right. And earlier today, Israel said they intercepted one of these missiles. So let me just play some videos for you. Here we have a video coming out of Israel showing one of these ballistic missiles flying through the sky. Guys, this is absolutely biblical and historic. Okay, we have countries now firing long range ballistic missiles at Israel very frequently now. Okay, they launched a batch of missiles, not just one or two, they launched several. And this is also coming at the same time as the Islamic resistance in Iraq, that's an Iranian militia operating in Iraq, claimed responsibility for launching several attacks on U.S. bases earlier this morning. They were pretty serious attacks. They fired over 20 rockets, okay, 20 rockets, guys, at one of our bases. And this comes literally a day after the U.S. launched a massive airstrike on targets in Iraq. Okay, so this is very, very serious, guys. Things are continuing to escalate. Here's another video coming from one of the airports in Eilat. I don't know if I'm saying that right. This is the international airport there, and you can see the missile flying through the sky. So, guys, this is biblical, 100% biblical. We are living in the end times. All these countries are turning on Israel now. Okay, this is the reality we're living in. I'm sorry if that scares you. That's not being a fearmonger, that's stating the truth. And I'm sorry if the truth is scary, but that's the truth. Okay, we are living in the end times right now. And we have some breaking news that the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier sailed out of Bremerton, Washington just 4 days ago. Here's a picture of it leaving the Puget Sound. We don't know where it's going to go. Is it going to go to the Middle East? Is it going to go to Asia? We have no idea. But we do know that there are two U.S. aircraft carriers in the Middle East right now. One of them is getting into position and it's going to have its final position off the coast of Iran. We have a U.S. nuclear armed submarine in the Middle East right now with 154 Tomahawk missiles with nuclear warheads on them. We have B 1 nuclear bombers in Turkey, which are capable of striking Iran from Turkey with air launched cruise missiles. We have 24 F-15E Strike Eagle fighter jets that are nuclear capable. These are nuclear capable fighter jets, okay? So, guys, get prepared. Things are continuing to spiral out of control. And I think it's very likely that the Biden administration may decide to launch some kind of a strike on Iran, not so much because they love Israel and they want to protect Israel, but more for political purposes. Because think about it, wartime presidents always get reelected, and also Biden is taking a lot of criticism for his handling of the war in Ukraine. We've spent billions and billions of dollars in Ukraine, and there hasn't really been any good results from that. Okay, Ukraine hasn't been able to take back much territory. It's basically at a deadlock now. So Biden could be trying to redeem himself in front of the American people. And what better way to do that than to decapitate the Iranian nuclear program especially after all these attacks on U.S. bases. Maybe they're letting these attacks happen so this way they have a justification to strike Iran. Get the American people pissed off that our boys are getting targeted, and then all of a sudden Biden looks like a hero when he launches a massive strike on Iran. Okay? So I'm just thinking out loud here. I'm not saying that that's what's going to happen and that's what is happening. I have no idea. It's just a theory. All right? The Israeli army says that it intercepted a suspicious target in the Arabah region in southern Israel using the Patriot missile defense system. The target did not enter Israeli airspace, according to the Israeli army. So they used Patriot missiles and the Arrow missile defense system. Okay. So they're really engaging a lot of targets here if they're using multiple air defense systems to deal with these ballistic missiles, guys. And Israel has never had to deal with long range ballistic missiles before. They've always been short range rockets and things like that, which is what the Iron Dome specializes in. But they've never had to deal with medium range or long range ballistic missiles. This is historic, guys. Israel has never had to intercept these kinds of missiles before. And I highly doubt that Yemen is building these missiles by themselves. They're getting them from Iran, possibly Russia, possibly North Korea. And U.S. defense officials now tell VOA that there have been 46 attacks on U.S. forces in Iraq and Syria in the last 3 weeks. 4 of these happened after the U.S. airstrike last night on the IRGC weapons storage facility, and apparently 3 Americans were injured in an attack today. Okay? So we don't know the true numbers, guys. Just like with these hostages, for all we know, there could be thousands of hostages in Gaza. For all we know, there could be hundreds of attacks that have occurred. For all we know, there could be dozens of U.S. soldiers injured. We don't know, guys. Everything is a secret. And in eastern Syria, a U.S. airstrike was carried out near Deir Azor Air Base last night, and it killed one of Assad's bodyguards, okay, Bashar al-Assad. And the Islamic resistance in Iraq, the Iranian militias operating in Iraq, are claiming responsibility for 3 out of the 4 attacks last night. And the Turkish President Erdogan discussed today with the Iranian president the humanitarian crisis in Gaza, which I don't believe they were talking about a humanitarian crisis. I think they were talking about possible military cooperation against Israel. But this is very rare for Turkey and Iran to be talking, is extremely rare. They hate each other, guys. They're a different type of Muslim, and they've never gotten along. Okay, so for the Turkish president and the Iranian president to be speaking by phone is very, very concerning, and that comes right out of the Bible, guys. Okay, the Bible says that Iran, Turkey, Syria, Northern Africa, Russia, all these countries, North Korea, China, they all get together and they all try to attack Israel, okay? And we do know that China is now interested in building a base in Oman, and they have 6 warships in Oman right now. And the warships that they have in Oman are missile ships. They can fire missiles, okay? So, very concerning stuff. And Syria is accusing Israel of carrying out an airstrike against military sites in southern Syria late last night, causing damage. So Israel is now striking Syrian military targets. Okay, they're not just targeting the pro-Iran militias or jihadists. They're actually striking Syrian military sites. Okay, and this could be the hook that brings Russia down from the north and gets Russia involved, because Russia has an air base in Syria, and this war is going on very close to that Russian air base. And the leader of Hamas met today with the head of Egyptian intelligence in Cairo, and they also met with senior members of the Egyptian intelligence organization. So this is very concerning, guys. The leader of Hamas met with the head of the Egyptian intelligence organization or agency, whatever. Okay, that's very, very concerning. And we do know that Egypt is piling up tanks on the border with Israel. And they've said multiple times they're not going to allow Israel to take over Gaza and push out the Palestinians into Egypt. They said that would basically be a declaration of war against Egypt. They did massive military drills 3 weeks ago. Okay, the Egyptian president was watching all his tanks and everything doing drills in the desert, and he said that they're ready to send 1 million Egyptians to die for their cause, whatever that cause is. He didn't specify. All right, but he said he was willing to sacrifice millions of Egyptians. So that's very concerning. Even Egypt is turning on Israel now. Okay, Jordan, same thing. Jordan said that this would be a declaration of war. Israel tried to push the Palestinians out of Gaza into Jordan. And the Israeli defense minister said stopping the fighting in Gaza depends on ending our military missions. We are undertaking localized and pinpoint measures to enable the exit of Palestinian civilians from Gaza City southwards so that we do not harm them. These things do not detract from the war fighting. And he said this after it was announced by the White House that there's going to be daily 4-hour ceasefires, which is just the stupidest thing ever. What does a daily 4-hour ceasefire even do? It doesn't do anything. And plus, all of northern Gaza is all full of Hamas now. All the civilians have already left. This is all just some BS policy that the White House and liberals pushed onto Israel because they were getting heat from all the Israel haters in their party, in the Democrat Party, and there are a lot of them that are pro Gaza, pro Hamas, pro Palestinian, and they were complaining about the operation. And so Biden wants to kind of look like he's not favoring Israel too much, for reelection purposes. He doesn't want to piss off his base too much. But it's very concerning how all these liberals are now jumping on the bandwagon of anti Semitism. They're claiming all these things about Israel, that Israel is killing civilians, they're doing all these nasty things, these horrible things, but not once do they mention the horrific attacks that occurred on October 7 when Hamas literally landed with paragliders and gunned down people at weddings and bar mitzvahs. They went door to door in residential neighborhoods and were shooting people's pets and shooting parents while the kids were hiding in their closets, okay, and their kids had to hear their parents getting murdered. I mean, do you hear any of these pro-Palestinian college students protesting in Columbia University mentioning any of that? They have no clue what the hell they're even protesting. Okay, they have no clue. This is very, very concerning, guys. There's a rise in anti Semitism around the world, and this goes lockstep with the Bible. What the Bible says will happen in the end days is people will come against Israel, people will come against Christianity. Okay, and the Israeli defense minister also said that the fighting in Gaza will not stop until the hostages are recovered. Okay, so the Israeli defense minister is saying even though there's these 4-hour ceasefires, it doesn't matter. It's not going to stop our mission. And there's apparently intense clashes going on right now this evening between Hamas and the Israeli army in northwestern Gaza. The Israeli army has launched intense airstrikes in southern Lebanon in the outskirts of Naqoura, Alma al-Shabab, Aitarun, Ramia, and Blida. Okay, so 5 towns they're targeting tonight with intense airstrikes in southern Lebanon. Okay, and apparently Israeli forces raided the Palestinian city of Jenin today, and they fought an hours-long battle with gunmen in which 14 people were killed. And apparently, this is one of the heaviest clashes in the West Bank in months. Okay, so this is very serious, guys. Things are continuing to spiral out of control. I want to share some flight paths with you. Here we have a U.S. nuclear war command and control plane that's currently flying over the Gulf of Mexico. And here we have a C-17 Globemaster. This is a military cargo plane operated by the UK, and this thing flew towards the Russian Arctic from northern Norway, and it turned its transponder off somewhere out here. I think this is the Barents Sea. And what's interesting is that it was flying low right before it turned its transponder off. So I don't know what was happening here. This is very, very strange to have a C-17 Globemaster fly up into the Russian Arctic and then turn its transponder off. Very, very strange. If you guys have any idea on what was going on over here, let me know in the comments. But I don't know if this was some kind of a commando mission and they were jumping out into the water. I mean, it's probably ice cold, but very strange that it would fly into the Russian Arctic and fly low shortly before turning its transponder off. And you can see it was flying just a few thousand feet above sea level here, this light blue color, almost as if it was landing on something, maybe an aircraft carrier. But as far as I know, C-17s can't land on an aircraft carrier. So I don't know, guys. It's very weird. And here we have more U.S. military cargo planes going to and from the Middle East. Okay, so they're continuing to flood the Middle East with weapons and ammunition and all types of war machines. And here we have a Swedish reconnaissance plane patrolling northeastern and eastern Poland here along the border with Belarus and Russia. NATO is continuing to monitor the Baltics and Poland. And here we have a Polish border guard plane flying along the Belarus and Russian border, patrolling the border. So that's the latest information that I have, guys. I'll keep you updated. I want to mention that tonight I will be going live on off-grid desert farming with Paul and Adrian on their Rumble channel. Okay, so they have a Rumble channel. I'm going to be going on their Rumble channel at 10 p.m. Eastern time, and we're going to talk about everything going on with Israel and around the world. He's going to pick my brain, and we're going to have a discussion, a much-needed discussion about what's going on. So check them out, Off-Grid Desert Farming with Paul and Adrian on Rumble. And what I'll do is I'll leave a link to that stream in the comments down below. But other than that, I might be back later on tonight with another update if there's more news to report to you. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you hit the bell icon to be notified when I post these updates. Also consider joining my Patreon, and the link to my Patreon is in the description below this video. And I post certain types of exclusive content there that I don't post here. And also, I post these updates first over there before I post them on YouTube. So, other than that, take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 P's: prepare, practice, and persevere.